In this problem, we're going to apply the negative exponent property, which says for any real number a not equal to 0 and b not equal to 0, a to the negative m equals 1 over a to the m. 1 over a to the negative m equals a to the m. And quantity a over b to the negative m is b over a, that quantity raised to the m. So I'm going to mark each of these as first version of the property, second version of the property, and third version of the property. So let's see how this set of properties, or this property, with kind of different ways to write it, helps us look at the problems below. So if I see a negative exponent here, like x to the negative 3, this one is a direct application of version 1 of the property. So I can just rewrite that as 1 divided by x to the third. So all I'm doing is taking the base, making the power positive, and then changing its place from here, the numerator, down to the denominator. Part B here, and this looks a little odd, but that is a negative 1/2. That's a direct application of the second version of the negative exponent property, where I have a base raised to a negative power in the denominator. So again, I can take the x, which is the base, make the power positive 1/2 power, and move it up to the numerator. Part C here, we're going to need to be careful. This is going to be an application of this second representation of the negative exponent property, but we're going to need to be careful. I want to break up my fraction like this so that you can really see what's going on. 1 over 2 times 1 over x to the negative 3. We have to be certain which part is affected by the exponent. The 2 is not being raised to the negative 3. So that's going to remain as 1/2. And then my 1 over x to the negative 3 is going to become x third, essentially, over 1. And that is using the part 2 property here. And to write that as a single fraction, I'm going to multiply straight across and get x cubed over 2. So be really, really careful when you have coefficients of your terms that have negative exponents. Part D here, 2 to the negative 3, again, is an application of version 1. And so 2 to the negative 3 becomes 1 over 2 to the third, but I can actually simplify that a little bit. 2 to the third is 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8. So I can write that in a simplified form as 1 over 8. Part E is going to be an application of this third representation, where I have a fraction raised to a negative exponent. So what I'm going to do, according to the rule, is I'm going to flip the fraction, make it 16 over 4. Then the exponent becomes positive. It's kind of hard to read, but this is a negative 1/2. Now to simplify, 16 divided by 4, I'm going to do the inside first, is 4 raised to the 1/2 power. And you may or may not know this yet, but the 1/2 power is equivalent to square root. We're going to spend some time on that later in a later lesson, but for now, you could even punch it into your calculator, 4 to the 1/2 power, and you would see that you get a final result of 2. The last one, 3x to the negative 4, is similar to this part C, except that I'm starting with everything in the numerator. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to write 3 as 3 over 1, because again, the 3 is not affected by the exponent. So x to the negative 4 becomes 1 over x to the 4th. To write that as a single fraction, I multiply straight across 3 over x to the 4th.